The views and opinions expressed during Love and Life with Lana and Dave are those only of the speakers and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or the position of our podcast hosts or affiliates. Any content provided is not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, anyone, or anything. All right, let's do it.
You're listening to Love and Life with Lana and Dave, the podcast where logic is power and you take control. Thank you for tuning in and making the choice to listen in and get ideas for your own love and life. Now, here are your hosts, Lana Williams and David Vaccaro. Hello, I'm Dave.
I'm Lana.
And today, I didn't know if you wanted to say what we're going to talk about today or if I'm going to say it.
How about if I say it?
Okay, you say it.
I'm just going to jump right in and rip that Band-Aid off.
Because I'll be mean. You know that, right?
Dave, so audience, Dave is mean. You know, he's just mean. And
that's right.
This is something we've learned to accept as people that know Dave. And it used to be offensive, but we're like, you know what? That's you, Dave.
That's
understand.
Right. Yeah, my honesty is not be construed as mean.
I have learned, because there are so many different types of personalities out there, to try and not be. I try to temper my honesty. Don't get me wrong. I'm not.
Until you're
not
her
honest.
friend. Until you're her friend, and then she'll be brutally honest, and you just have to deal.
Listen, if I'm brutally honest, that means that we're close. We've got to be.
That's
close,
right, and which is great.
Or I don't like you. I don't.
Either that, or I don't like you. Well, now I have questions in my mind.
I know. I might not really like you, Dave. So, the title of this episode is going to be "Fix It or Complain?" ?
Mm-hmm.
And then the overview of that is going to be solving a problem or productively challenging or channeling your energy towards something that happens versus just, I'd say, venting or reacting.
Or as I like to call it, just sticking with the drama. I know, we actually went back and forth over this, and I wanted to call it, what was the first word? I don't even remember. Basically, fix it or keep the drama going. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because this is something I'm very passionate about. I can't stand it. And Lana knows. Mm-hmm. If somebody comes to me with a problem, and we're just going to start right off, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you my side of the story. And if you disagree, and I'm talking to the audience, if you disagree, feel free to send a comment, and we will respond to these comments. I promise you. And so we have our Facebook, which is, facebook.com/ and you can find us by searching for Love and Life with Lana and Dave, or you can just put / Lana and Dave, and that'll bring you there too. Or at our website, you'll find us at lanaanddave.com, and it's LANA and the word and Dave. In our podcast, I know we use the ampersand, but we do not use the ampersand in websites and stuff like that. And Instagram, Lana and Dave, Twitter, Lana and Dave.
Yeah, see, I'm gonna get a compiled list of this so that we can read this off, at least at the end of the episode, going forward, just so that people can find us. But if you do find our Facebook page or our website, you should be able to find everything else linked to that, or something where we've got stuff posted so that you can find the other platforms. Right.
And we have something really cool we just added too. You guys can buy us a coffee now. That's really cool. You can go to buymeacoffee.com / Lana and Dave, and you can buy us coffee.
That's awesome.
We work hard for you guys. I mean, listen, I need a coffee right now, but I don't want to make one. So you guys should just buy me a coffee.
So here's a visual. You picture Dave and I, our faces, right? Because you can see our faces on the podcast. And picture us like in the middle of nowhere with just like a sign, like in a cornfield that says, "We'll work for coffee."
Right.
We'll
That's right.
We'll speak. We'll podcast for coffee.
We podcast for coffee.
We love our coffee. So
yeah, because we both have jobs.
That.
This is not our full-time job. And, in podcasting, which a lot of people probably think, we're just sitting here talking to each other and recording it. We definitely put some money into this because we enjoy it and we want to do it. It's therapy for us. So back to this fix it or complain.
Go ahead, Dave.
So here comes what happens to me and why it drives me nuts. If somebody comes to me and they say, hey, I'm having this problem, and they're all dramatic about it. Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go, that's a problem. Now, in my real life, what I mean my real life is, and this is my real life, if there's a problem, I am very excited to fix it. So that's why I ended up being in the tech industry. If I find a problem, I find the resolution. If there's no more problem, then there's no more problem. So if you're having a conversation with me, and again, I'm talking to you guys out there, if you're having a conversation with me and telling me about a problem, my mind is immediately going to start trying to fix it, right? I want to find a resolution for your problem. So this is what drives me nuts, and this is what our podcast is about today. When the person goes, I don't want you to talk, I just want to vent. Well, why? What is your point? What is the point of venting about something if you don't want to? Don't tell me that there's a problem and then say, oh, yeah, but we're just not going to fix it. Just let's keep focusing on that problem. That drives me nuts. It's insane to me. And that's what today's podcast is about. I can't handle it. I can't. That's a problem. And the resolution for me is I'm going to fix your problem. And if you don't let me fix your problem, you're going to go away eventually because I can't handle it.
I have always been that way over my lifetime. I'm now understanding that, different people have different ways of dealing with things and their brains are wired differently. So what I'm trying to do, especially this year, is recognize how my brain is wired, recognize how I handle things, and then try very hard to understand other people where they're at. But I got to say, I'm totally in agreement with the fact that if there's a problem and it creates a reaction, and we can take the problem away, I would imagine in my head logically that the reaction would also go away. That's how the equation in my head goes, right? But then I'm a pragmatist and I'm pretty analytical, and so to me, I don't know. I'm not looking to avoid emotion, but basically, if I'm frustrated or angry or anything, I don't want those feelings. Those are not things I enjoy.
Right.
So that's not my goal. Is to avoid these type of reactions or emotions or stress. Really, it's stress.
It is. Sure. If something's causing you stress okay. This is where Lana is trying to figure it out. I will not try to figure that out because
I'm trying to be diplomatic, right? Because
I'm not going to be diplomatic about this. And you already know, Lana, that I'm very so, okay, you might hear me call Lana sometimes, and I'm going to tell you why. It's her fault.
It's
because
my fault.
We were friends for a couple of years before she told me finally my name is actually pronounced Lana. And I was calling her Lana.
I didn't tell you that. Somebody else called me that, and and then you said, wait a minute.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
How you pronounce your name?
Yeah, that's right. She didn't even tell me. And I'm like, why wouldn't you tell me that? She's like, because I don't care. I'm like, well, okay, well, wonderful. So that's why.
It's not like he ever, didn't get my attention because he called me. I just, people have called me because of the way my name's spelled. People have used different types of pronunciations, and I'm just not really. Right. I'm just not really worried about.
That's why you might hear me, catch myself because for years, I think a couple of years, I called her Lana, and I was like,
what? How you doing? Hey, what's going on?
She's like, yeah, nothing. Never said a word to me, and crazy. But okay, so Lana thinks that she's trying to deal with people because they're wired differently. That to me, I don't. If you're wired like that, you're wired wrong, in my opinion. I'm not going to tell you that that's okay. Do you want?
I'm not going to tell them that it's okay either. I'm just not going to try to
understand it.
I can't. I'll go into why later, but you can't make people do what you want them to do.
I understand that.
See things how you see them.
I understand that. So if you're one of my friends or were one of my friends and you noticed that you had a lot of drama in your life, and I'm going to call it drama because if you have a problem, that's fine. I'm here for you. We'll sit down together and try to resolve that problem. But if you're not willing to help yourself, I don't want to hear it. I mean, that's just it's your fault. If you want to just dwell on a problem over and over and over again, and somebody offers you a solution and you don't want to hear the solution, then you like the drama. And to me, I haven't got it. I don't have it. And it's just, I don't have the patience for it. And it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So if you're looking at your life and you're going, and you're one of these people that say, I just want to vent. No, you just want to maintain the drama. It's not venting. Look, I get it. You had a bad day and you're like, oh, this day sucked. I just want to blah, blah. That's different. But if you give me a physical problem and you say, hey, I'm like totally stressed out because I got this square peg and I'm trying to fit it in a round hole and it just won't, this square peg won't fit in the round hole. And I go, well, if you whittle the edges off it, you probably could get it to fit. I don't care about that. I don't care. And you keep going, it's square, it's square, it's square.
And then they say, stop trying to tell me how to do it.
Stop telling me how to fix it. Why?
That's
Isn't
hilarious.
that what it doesn't make
funny.
Yeah. It's like, hey, your car's broken. Just bitch about it and see how well that works out for you. Eventually you'll be walking. And it's the same thing in life. If you truly have a problem and it's causing you stress, you will die from all these stresses that you have in your life. And that's that's science, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, stress is very bad for you. I mean, we have stories about that, and eventually you guys are going to hear all these stories throughout our podcast. But yeah, it's not something I can handle. Is the complaining when there's a obvious solution. It just
right. I mean, it breaks down for me, and some of my friends that are listening. Come on, I know all my friends are listening, right? Right?
They better be, right?
Yeah. They should be. They'll tell you, friends that I've had for years that call me and have problems with relationships, whether it be work related, friendship related, family, guys they're dating. They will not call me to listen to me say, "Oh, you poor thing." They know I'm not going to do that. Some of them find out the hard way. And that's fine. There are different people in your life that you get different things from. If you call me, I'm going to try to figure out, I'm going to break it down, and I'm trying to figure out what is the cause of what happened. Is it something that, is it some kind of viewpoint you have on something that isn't accurate? Is the person actually trying to do you harm? Let's find out what's causing this situation and why you're upset right now. What caused the outcome that happened the way it did? Then let's see how we can not go forward and not have this happen a second time. Now, as a friend of yours, if I've known you for years and you're a really good friend of mine, I love you. And my underlying goal is to prevent any future hurt.
Of course.
I can't do anything with what you're hurt about now.
Right.
But I can try really hard to make sure you're not hurt again. And that's what my efforts would be. That stems my efforts. That's why. So it's not like I don't care that you're upset right now, but I would like to take away the thing that's causing you the upset. That's, to me, how I fix things. That's how I care. That's just how I care.
Right. Absolutely.
That's what I call it. This is how I care. It isn't sometimes what people want. And I get that. I'm not, I mean? I know you don't.
I won't.
And I'm not going to tell people that it's okay to vent. I personally, it hurts me more to vent about something that I can fix. And
then to just fix it.
That's how, for me, people that, like I said, have known me through some really traumatic stuff, have watched me deal with things that are major.
Absolutely.
My way of dealing things that are major is to put my nose to the grindstone and do things, whether I work through it. There are times I isolate, but for me to call somebody and just go on and on about how horrible it is, it doesn't actually make me feel better. It makes me feel worse.
Right.
Now, other people, it may make them feel better. There may be some kind of brain chemical that it produces for them.
It doesn't sound like it to me. It just doesn't.
I don't know. It becomes a spiral, and maybe it doesn't sound like that to me either. But I guess I'm a fan of understanding that people do things repeatedly because they enjoy those things. They just have to. Why would they do?
Okay. And I'm going to ask. I want them to comment.
I'm agreeing with you on that.
I need comments.
I need comments.
I know you do, and I need you guys to comment. And I'm talking to the listeners. When you are venting and freaking out about something, and somebody has a solution for you, and they're trying to tell you the solution, you don't want to hear that solution, and you just want to dwell on it, essentially, is the way I see it.
Right.
Explain that to me. Is it something that does it make you feel better? Is it in some way resolving your issue? Or what is the because I can't fathom why you would want to keep going when I'm at a complete loss of why you wouldn't want the problems resolved.
Listeners
and then
or people that we're talking to, is it is it that you need to just deal with the reaction first, and then at some point you're going to want to hear the solution, but you need to go through that process, and when somebody's trying to get to the solution too quickly, you're avoiding that? Could be something like that. I don't know. I'm just trying to guess,
right?
Because I honestly don't know.
And here's the one I love. Well, there is no solution for it. I go, okay, then shut up.
Well,
there's
that
no
brings
solution.
Us to our next topic, or next piece.
Yeah, well,
which is accept or change.
Right. Right. So and that's a good thing. Do you accept or change? And I look at everything in my life. Every single problem I have has one question I ask. And some of you that have listened to some of my old lives on Facebook, or, you've heard me talk in the past, I use this analogy a lot. And it's not really an analogy. It's the way I live. If I have a problem, my question is, can I fix it? Yes or no? Is there a solution? Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, then what I do is I start working on that problem right away. And that makes me feel better because I'm heading in the right direction.
You're doing something.
I'm working, I'm being productive and getting toward the final goal of resolving the issue. Now, if the answer is no, there's nothing I can do about it. Like, for example, when my grandfather passed away, I loved my grandfather to death and I was crushed. However, that answer is there something I can do about this? Yes or no? The answer is 100% no. There's nothing you can do about death, and it's a horrible thing, and we all have to deal with it. The answer is no. So what comes next for me? I have to accept that he's no longer here. I have to accept that. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to grieve. But my process is I have to accept it, and then I have to live my life. I have to move forward. And people go, well, how do you move forward? Right. Well, you have no choice. You don't. You don't have a choice, so you might as well just get used to the fact that person's not going to be there anymore. And I know it sounds cold, but I'm looking at it from a logical standpoint. Trust me, my logical part makes sense and sounds cold. There also is an emotional side that goes with that made me a wreck. Now, do I have things up all over the place about my grandfather? Nope. Bad idea. I don't want to be reminded of his death. Like, if you can see me, and Lana can tell you, I have a cross that says Mom, and it's got her birthday on it. I don't even know the day she died. I don't want to remember that day. It's a bad day. The day she was born is the day I'll celebrate, not the day that she died. And so to me, I focus completely on the resolution and how I'm going to deal with it, right? And everybody deals with things on their own thing. I did meet this woman once. Her brother passed away at a young age, and this girl still has in her bedroom, next to her bed, has a candle burning and a bunch of his pictures and stuff, and she's been doing that for years, and she will never get over the fact that her brother died. And look, I get it. You're not going to get over it, but why are you torturing yourself by doing that?
Well, I do think
day?
That there are people who, I don't know if they fear that they're going to, I don't know how it's possible, so I'm not 100% sure if I'm right about this, because that's not really the way that I think. But I do believe that there are people that are afraid that they're going to forget parts of somebody that they lost, or no. But I'm saying
that's silly
that it's correct. I'm just saying I think that might be part of it, or
maybe
somehow they're going to be seen as not caring. I don't really know. But for me, it's for the people that I've lost, it's either when you can't do anything about it and you know that there's nothing that you can do but go with it. I mean, your life is going to go on. It's going to go on. You're either going to go through your life stuck there, or you're going to going to make peace with it, is what they call it. Somehow make peace with the fact that this is the thing that happened. For me, oculism, and that's a word that means looking at the big picture. I zoom out of everything. So I kind of say, okay, well, when my mom passed away, it did seem cruel that she would pass away and things would just go on and people would go on living and nobody would care. But that's my personal response to it. That's something that my mind or my brain did or whatever. It really didn't. It just was my viewpoint at that time. if I zoom out and I say, okay, well, everybody that I know at some point there were people before me. What I really did was seek out people before me that had been through it. That's just the way I deal with it. Okay, well, what do I need to know? What do I have to look forward to as far as like what kind of process I'm going to deal with? What kind of feelings am I going to have? Whatever. Even the process of somebody before they pass away.
Sure.
Just so that I can I'm a blueprint chick, and I want to make sure that everything that could possibly happen to me, if I can find a way to get some information on it before it happens, so I can be prepared. That's my whole life. That's the way I deal with everything. So for me, my mom passed away, but it's very personal to me to say that nobody else cared or that the world went on without her. I mean, this is something where all of us at some point are going to have parents that pass. Some of them are very young when they pass. Some of them you have until they're 90.
Right.
Yep, my mom was 65.
Sure. My mom was 54.
Right. Oh,
my mom was younger than, she was younger than I am now.
It's weird when you think about it.
So that's crazy to me. And it was unexpected. And sure, it was a shock and it was terrible. But you're absolutely right. Do we dwell and okay, here's a certain thing that I have a belief in, and this is death, right? So death is like some people, well, I'm honoring that person. Listen. In my opinion, they don't give two shits whether you honor them. When I'm dead, you don't have to honor me. I'm gone. I'm not going to know. Like people go, do you want to be cremated or buried? I'm like, I don't care. And I used to say, I don't care. And they'd be like,
yeah, right.
Oh, how can you not care? I go, exactly. I can't care. I'll be dead. Right. So I don't think that like sometimes there are certain like wakes and funerals I won't go to. And, especially if they're drug related, I won't go because I can't stand all the people that are there that are holier than thou and they're all high as hell and they're saying, oh, this is such a bad thing. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, you're not actually, that's what I feel like saying, because I can't go. I can't. It's something that drives me crazy. However, I look at it as the person that I cared about, unless there are people alive that I care about. Like if somebody passes away, like let's say it's a very close friend and I'm close with their parents and stuff. Of course, I'm going to be there for support for the parents and stuff. I'm not going there for my friend that passed away or for my family member. I didn't go to my grandfather's wake for him because he's not here anymore.
Well, that's what, to me, that's what funerals are. That's what wakes are. They're all for the people that have been left
That's
behind.
what a wedding is.
Well, is it? That another time. Is it like a funeral?
No, we won't.
Let's not go there. But it.
No, I mean, the whole point is the wedding is not for the bride and groom. The wedding is for everybody else. Right.
That's it.
The bride and groom are getting married and everybody else is, yeah. And so that's what a funeral is for. You go or a wake, you go and you say you're sorry to the person that passed. Like, so, like my buddy, Ryan's grandfather passed away. I went to the wake. Why? To be there for Ryan. Right.
Exactly.
His uncle passed away. I went to be there for Ryan. I go to support my friends that are still alive, that are going through a hard time. To me, that makes sense. Now we're getting a little off topic, so I want to make sure we don't.
No, I definitely. Wow! Look, hey, listen, everybody. You just witnessed Dave pulling us back onto the track. That's like unbelievable. I can't even.
It's a rare thing, and the only reason I did it is because there's a big microphone in front of my face reminding me that I'm making a podcast. I'm not just having a conversation with Lana like we do.
I know
you. I'm not going to go. Okay, we're back on track.
Right.
Sorry
about
that.
So we're back on track. So the thing is, if you have a problem, for me, most of the problems that, to my best of my ability, most of the problems that I deal with are usually anticipated problems. I try very hard to, and don't get me wrong, I don't sit around going on and on about what problems might occur, but based on my environment, who I am, where I am, what I'm doing, there are a certain amount of things I could kind of assume I can be prepared for. And so I do that. If something happens I'm not prepared for it, then I usually can bounce back pretty quick on stuff like that. And things like having stuff in your car in case your car breaks down, whatever, things like that like,
sure,
you don't
want
a
little bit of preparation.
Right.
Sure.
You don't want to be like this end of lifer where everything to you is a perceived trauma, but you also kind of want to be sort of have AAA and have blankets in your car and have water. Just things that you don't really, they won't hurt you if you do it, it won't hurt you to do it. And it will be you'll be really happy you did if you need it. So that's me.
Right. And I would agree with that. And essentially, so I'm what some call a prepper, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why they call me a prepper is because I've taken classes on survival. Well, I didn't take it because I think the end of the world is coming. I took it in case I ever end up in that situation. I won't die, right? I won't. And because I have some training, and in my car, I have what's called a bug out bag or a survival bag. And in there, I have 3 days worth of food. And the reason I started doing that is because I had a friend of mine who was a Marine. He wasn't really a friend. He was somebody that I had worked with. And there was a big collapse in San Francisco during the big earthquake. And he actually got stuck in his car. And so did, I think, 30-something other people. And he had a bug out bag in his car. He was able to reach that and have water, and they were stuck in there for 6 days, 6 or 7 days. He's the only one that survived because he had that bug out bag. Because you can't survive. After 3 days, you start dying without water. You really need water every day. But after 3 days of no water, you start to dehydrate, and you can die from it. And that's probably what most people there died from.
And let's think about this. I mean, not that we want everybody to run out to the store now, but just to have a bottle of water in your car.
Right. Could save your life.
You know, outside of it being 100 degrees outside, that's another story. But just to have like a bottle of water on you at any given time that's like full, or even to have like, you know, I try to bring filtered water bottles, meaning I can go, you know, I could stop at a bathroom somewhere and I can go and pull cold water out of a sink and filter it through a straw, you know, you know, I don't want to just drink water from anywhere, but I do like my water filter. But if my bottle is, you know, has a filter in it, or if I have a Life Straw with me, which I do own.
Absolutely. I do too. I have a Life Straw.
These kind of things are like, you know, you may need to at some point go find a water source that's not great and survive from it. So you need kind of. And
I'm going to give a plug here because he's like my brother. So a good friend of mine, Johnny, owns a survival store. And has all these things that you could get. It's called Rockness, and it's in Haverhill, Mass. Just check them out if you decide you want to keep a Life Straw in your car or whatever, because you can drink out of a Life Straw. You can drink out of a mud puddle. Now, the reason why we're talking about this is not because we're switching the topic. This is, you know,
ways to prevent problems from happening.
Right.
To begin with.
These are not just, and that's one example, right? I mean, if we talk about relationships, you can prevent these problems from happening in a relationship as well. If you're, and again, it goes back to honesty. If you're honest with yourself about what you need in a relationship, and that person is missing that, you got to be honest with yourself. You're preventing a future problem.
Right.
And this is what I see people do all the time is, and I'm going to say especially women, because I mean, I have a lot of female friends, and I guess maybe women just talk more about their relationship problems than guys do.
Say that, yeah,
probably. So I hear the same thing, and it's very repetitive. Like this, you know, I have a female friend. She's been through probably, God, since I've known her, probably about 10 different relationships, right? And they're all the same problem in every one. And I want to say, well, this problem that you're having is your fault completely because. Didn't you learn from the first one or the second one or the third, the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth one? I mean, you did it again. I mean, that's just you not. And I will say that she is the type of person that will come to me with a problem, and then when I have a solution, she don't want to hear it.
Right.
She's that person. So that would make sense because she probably knows what the solution is, but she doesn't like it, so she keeps doing it anyway and creating more drama for herself.
For her, it might feel like it's too hard to deal with, or it's too much trouble to try to, you know, people feel like, you know, this is the issue I'm having, and there's 7 guys I've dated, and they've all had the same problem. But like, let me just change the person, and it should be okay. And then you go out and find like somebody that looks different, but is the same person in a different outfit.
Right. Or it's just their attitude is a little different. Maybe they're a little shy, and you've always been attracted to a guy that's like very confident or almost conceited. But then you get mad because he cares so much what people think about him, and you know he's out there flaunting himself. Or guys, same thing. You want to be with a beautiful woman. You ever hear that song? You want to be happy for the rest of your life. Yeah. Never make a pretty woman your wife. Yeah. So. There are a lot of guys that have no business whatsoever being with a beautiful woman. They can't handle it because other guys are going to look at her and they just can't handle it. And that is our next episode is jealousy. Yeah. And so we're not going to talk too much about that now. But the issue is that if you keep dating guys, if you're a good looking guy and you attract good-looking women, but you can't handle being with a good-looking woman, that's on you. That's your problem. And you're going to keep, you want to be with a beautiful woman, then you have to make some changes to the way you perceive things. Because if you find that I can't stand when other guys look at my girl, well, then you can't be with a pretty girl. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if your girlfriend's pretty, I'm looking at her. And I'm going to tell you if I'm dating a pretty girl, you're looking at her.
I also think beauty is subjective in a way. And that's
of course
in the sense that what you think is beautiful, maybe you may think somebody isn't, but whatever. If somebody's beautiful to you, really, that's what should matter. Right. And then from there, if other people appreciate that beauty, I mean, I would imagine that should be a good thing.
Right.
Right.
I always looked at it as like, like I would walk by with my ex-wife. She had a very nice body, and I'd walk by and guys' heads would turn, and I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, that's right. Thank you very much. I pick them well. That's all.
It should
I
be
didn't
a confirmation.
What are you looking at? I know what you're looking at because I look at it every day.
Right. But anyway, we'll get into the jealousy thing.
Yeah, right. And we're going to go there.
Insecurity,
that's next week.
But at the end of the day, if you can try to prevent, I feel like having a stress-free life is really important in a lot of ways. We don't live here. We're not here very long. We don't need to be frustrated and stressed the whole time we're on Earth. I mean, that's crazy to me. So that there should be some critical thinking about things going on in your life. And if you're a reactive person, which means that you go through your day and you don't really think much about your environment, and then something happens and you flip out, but you didn't really put much thought into it, especially if it's happening repeatedly, it might not be a bad idea to sort of say, okay, what's happening here? I know a lot of people don't really like to do that. They'd prefer to just live their life in the moment and not have any kind of foresight or any kind of looking at history to see, hey, what happened there? Like, is there something I could have done to stop that from happening? That's how I think. And I don't expect everybody to be born wired to think that way, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to change and learn the habit. And then I'm quickly going to get into my dog, but not for too long. The closest friends of mine and everybody that knows me knows when I lost my last dog, and I lost him at 6 years old to lymphoma. My way of dealing with it was I guess I could have gotten upset and said, why me? And the universe is upset with me. And what have I done to deserve this and all that kind of stuff? That's not really my way of dealing with things. So what I did was, which I do when something major goes on for me, is research. Like, okay, this is what I was told. My dog was given a certain amount of time to live. He's younger than he should have been for the dog that he is. And it's upsetting to me because I'm losing him sooner than I should. But what do I do now? And so when I found out my dog had lymphoma, the first thing I did was talk to people who had dogs that passed away of cancer, of lymphoma, or of sarcoma, or there's all these different types of cancers that dogs get, to find out what did they do and how do they feel about it. And in the end, most of them told me that they treated their dog and wished they hadn't done it. So I'm like, okay, see, there you go. I don't really want my dog to be suffering. I know a lot of people may disagree with this, but like, I don't want my dog's life on Earth to be just like this horrible thing, because it makes me feel better. And for me to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to make sure that my dog is okay, to get maybe a month or two out. Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's
this is a visual
right?
of my
It is, and so we've talked about this already.
Keeping something around longer than it needs to be just because it comforts me, that doesn't make sense. It really was about my dog's comfort at that point, and my dog's life at that point. I was gonna lose him anyway. You know? And so I didn't want to
make him suffer for your benefit, for your selfishness is what I call it, right?
But I didn't vent, and Dave will tell you I was not venting.
She did not. She was very upset. Let's make that very clear.
Yeah, I was.
Lana, who we claim is not emotional, is emotional.
Well, I am emotional. I just don't express it a whole lot because it's
correct. And she was able to get through this logically, and we did have a conversation. And she's like, here's my findings, and what should I do? And we talked a little bit about. A little earlier today, we were actually talking about this because we were doing show notes, and she had talked about how her dog her dog was spoiled rotten. He was a great dog. He was a very happy life, and I can tell you that she would not give him crappy food or anything like that. But once she knew he wasn't going to be around forever, she started making his life better. So you want some crap food? Here's some. Go ahead.
Right.
And that was very not selfish of you. And I give you credit for that. And a lot of people should learn from that, because I think what we do is when we have a problem, we don't want that problem to be too much for us. So we will, especially
we'll make life easy on ourselves, basically.
We make life easier on yourself, but it makes it harder on that pet that you supposedly love. Right. And I give you much kudos for that, because you did go through it logically and made the right decision, in my opinion.
I mean, I will also say real quickly that I took my dog when it was time to go, and I laid underneath him, and I brought a couple of his favorite things, and I brought one of my best friends who who was with him for 3 years with me, and we sat, and when he passed, I was with him. I was holding him. He heard me. He smelled me. I made sure that he was not sure. He knew exactly where I was, and he was comfortable. And all of that, everything around him was for him when he passed.
Right. And that must have been very difficult. I can't imagine. But again,
I can't, I'm just, whatever. I'm not going to get into a debate with people on this, but this is your pet. You love your pet. You go in there and you till that last breath, you stay with your pet. That's the way it should be.
That's hard. I did with my shepherd. I had to put one dog to sleep. And it was hell. I mean, he was my buddy, so I can see.
And it should be hell, because that's your baby. You're close to that dog, and it's, of course. I think personally, I didn't want my dog for 1 second to be uncomfortable or not sure where I was or anything like that. I didn't want any of that for his last minutes.
And the point of that story is that she didn't complain during this, even though it was hard for her. It was a resolution that she found that was best for her dog, and for his happiness and his well-being. And if that meant death, then that's what she accepted. And so again, you fix it or complain about it. She could have complained about it, and there are people out there that would rather just complain. And while in all the meantime, while you're complaining, why me? Why do I get the dog and he's going to die and I can't handle this and blah, blah, blah. It's not about you at that point. And the thing is that you're complaining while your dog is suffering, or your pet, whatever pet you have.
Or if you haven't, before things get really bad with an animal that you're with, or even with a parent or a friend or a family member, it doesn't even really have to be just your pet. But try very hard not to complain about something that's happening to you and missing the moments that you're in. That's all I'm going to say. So you could actually miss and regret not spending the time, not really focusing on the thing that's important to you before you lose it, because you're too busy going, why me? Really try to focus
on the problem at hand, and find out what the resolution is. And if the resolution, and the reason why we're talking about death and the story of Lana's dog is because that shows a very difficult situation where, had she not found a way to fix it, I mean, is she actually fixing it so the dog is alive today? No. But that's not a possibility. And that comes down with, is there something I can do about it? Yes or no. And, that's a very difficult task to undergo, is making that decision and then not complaining about it, and in making both their lives better. Was it difficult for Lana? 100%. But did she make it through? Of course she's going to. She has no choice, right? And again, that's where we come to the, if you spend too much complaining, then your problem never, ever gets resolved.
Right.
So,
and you're still in it, and you're stressed.
That's right.
Sometimes the problem will get worse if you don't focus on it. It'll just get worse. Or it'll repeat. It'll happen over and over again. And I don't know, why would anybody want to go through the same problem more than once? Getting back to relationships, I mean, I'm not saying that, you should bring it in front, just put it under a microscope and pull it apart like a scientist. But I mean, why, if something doesn't go right in a relationship and you walk away and say, well, that really was terrible. I mean, the least you should do is take a lesson from, and they say that, of course you get the lesson. A lot of people don't really like hearing that, or they don't really know what it means. What it means is, what did you and that person do as a relationship together to contribute to whatever happened? And then how you can't control anything they did. Once they're gone, they're gone, and you cannot control them. You can control you and how you handle it and you react. And
exactly. And I tell people that all the time. Look at what you did in that relationship and see what you did wrong, right? So, well, he cheated on me. Okay, but what happened? What did you do wrong? I'm not saying he cheated because something you were not pretty enough or the girl was prettier. It doesn't even matter. The issue is usually when somebody cheats, there was dishonesty from the beginning. And what I mean by that is that maybe your sex is not good and you know it.
Or
you guys
it could be
know
attention,
it.
could be anything.
Or it could be attention. Missing. It could be okay. So either way, I mean, people don't just cheat because, well, once a cheater, always a cheater. No, they just keep getting involved in relationships that are half-assed of what they really want, right? So here's the thing, and I'll talk about me for a minute because here I am. So if I begin a relationship with somebody and I don't have this animal magnetism towards them where I just want to tear them up all the time, they're not the right one for me. I need to feel that. And if I don't, but I lied to myself and I go, well, good enough for now. Guess what's going to happen? Somebody's going to come by my face and I'm going to go, oh my God, I got that animal magnetism. And guess what's going to happen? Because I'm not a cheater and I have a commitment with that other person, but I'm going to go to that other person. I'm going to say, hey, guess what? We're not it. Right. And then I'm going to go find that other one and see if we are it. Because there's something that's missing. So again, it all goes back to episode number 1,
right?
Honesty with yourself and others, and I find honesty with yourself is like crucial to everything that you do in life,
and it's so freeing. It is actually it frees you from. I can't explain it, but there's just so much less stress in your life if you're just honest about who you are to yourself.
I mean, Jim Morrison said it. I mentioned it in episode 1. He said, the most freedom you can have in your entire life is if you're true to who you really are, right? If I'm true to who I am, and it's true, because I heard this years ago, and I said, I'm going to try living my life like that. Like, I'm me, and this is who I am. This is what I want. And if it's okay for me to say, you're not what I want. But, and that's how come I have a lot of female. That's how come. That sounded so wrong, like grammatically. But that's why I have like female friends that I'm very close with, because it may have started with a love interest that just never grew to that full thing.
It went in a different direction.
Yeah, it went in a different direction, and we talk about that in one of our past episodes too. You guys are missing out.
I'm telling you, you need it. We hope with that this episode you've heard all the ones previous, so you can continue the saga with the two of us. But I did want to mention that what you to know what you want and to understand, and like that's probably Dave and I. One of the things we have in common is that we've been single a really long time, and we're really single for a while between relationships. Is we just kind of know what we want and what we don't. So when somebody says, why are you single? It's more like, well, I've not,
because I'm smart,
found the thing that makes me, well, I just say, I really do. And I mean it. It's the truth. I need somebody to inspire me to want to not be single.
Correct. And I have not met the right person is what I say.
But I don't complain. Well, why can't I find anybody?
No.
Well, going back to the complaint or fix. I'm well aware of accept or change in this case of what it is that my dating pool is based on my choices. I'm aware of that. I'm not going to complain about that. No. That's something I chose. I could change my choice, or I could change my preferences.
You really can't.
But what I'm saying, I'm not. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm saying in the moment, I could say, well, all right, let me let these 4 things go, or whatever. Whatever. I'm being too picky about it. For me, every time I've done that, I've ended up.
You create your own drama. You create your own drama by doing that. Yeah.
Or just wasting my time in situations that I didn't need to be in. And trying to figure out, okay, well, see, I did it again, thinking that it was going to be a better idea, and it isn't.
Oh, and I'm not saying I never did it. I'm not saying I never did that. I
learned from it.
Yeah, you definitely, fix it or complain, because the thing is that, I could complain that, oh my God, she's not affectionate. Well, how do I fix that? I don't fix. I chose the wrong one. That's how I fix it. I don't.
Well, you can only fix you, right?
Yes, of course.
You can't control other people.
And like I said in one of the past episodes, I was with somebody that was not affectionate. I thought I could be okay with that. After being with her for 4 years, I was not happy because she wasn't affectionate, and I missed somebody around me being affectionate. So I turned into the ass here. I'm the ass that's going, you better change or I'm leaving. What do you mean change? She was always that person. What a doofus I was. I mean, that's just a horrible thing for me to do. I was going to say dick, but I tried to bite my tongue and don't forget, if we drop the F-bomb, we're buying you food, like up to $100 worth of food. So remember, you
Yeah.
I tried to post it on Facebook. Facebook just bites my ass sometimes. It's just
we'll figure it out. We'll get it done, right? We'll go back and try to figure out what's going on. Maybe there's some kind of glitch going on today, but we'll get it sorted out somehow.
Well, Facebook's glitches waste my time, and that's frustrating.
You know, I've been told by several people that like, well, the reason I'm single is because I'm picky. First of all, that's that assumes that I'm upset being single, which I'm not. I mean, again, it's not that I don't want to be involved or I would be.
But you're happy single.
But I'm a content person.
Sure.
And so for me, it's easy to say, well, listen, I'm not choosing that because that's not really what I want, because I'm okay with the alternative. It doesn't. Right. I'm not in any rush. I'm patient about it.
Correct.
I think it makes you make better choices if you're happy where you are, so that you move better in the world. But at the end of the day, I have heard people complain, well, I'm just what's happening, but they don't really want to. I can sit them down and say, well, would you really want to have this conversation? Let's discuss. I mean, here are all your past relationships. Here are the places that you go to meet people. Mm-hmm. Here's your way of dating. So let's discuss this. I mean, something is not working. Let's find out what it is. I mean, to tell people that something they're doing is not working for them, they really don't like that.
No, they don't. But
really don't.
That's a reality, though, right? I mean, again, you how many relationships are you going to complain about until you find one that you don't have to complain about? Well, if you keep complaining about the relationships over and over, then there's something broken. And there's something broken in your choice.
I'm going to challenge the audience, and I'm going to say, if you're complaining about something, especially if it is a repetitive issue,
especially, yeah,
I would like the people to do that when you catch yourself complaining about something and saying something like, "Oh, this is always what happens to me. This is the same thing I always go through." Stop for a minute, take that energy, redirect it, and sit down and say, okay, let's take a piece of paper and pen or however you want to do it and say, like, what are the things in my past 3 or 4 relationships that have been identical? Just find the things that all match.
Right.
And say, okay, well, what did the last 4 or 5 guys, 3 or 4 guys that I dated, or 3 or 4 girls or whatever, what were all of the things about them? And I'm talking positive things that you liked and wanted, and then the things that kind of happened at the end, to see if you see a pattern. The patterns will never let you down.
Nope, they sure won't. And you know what? I'd like to make an offer to our audience. And Lane, I'm kind of putting you on the spot
with the
here.
Offers, man.
Yeah, here's another offer, because I think this is a good one, right? We're going to do a bonus thing here, and we'll release it as a bonus. When? I have no idea. But if you're somebody out there and you are having a problem, and you're having a serious problem, and you think Lena and I could actually help you through this problem, and just so you know, I'm going to beat you up, because I'm not the type of person that just accepts, well, this is what it is, and it is what it is. When somebody says to me, it is what it is.
If you're somebody that has a problem and wants to talk to the two of us, then you better be prepared to work on it.
You better be able. You're going
to. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be some tough love.
We will go. We'll meet you in a Zoom meeting. We'll record it and we will release it. But we will help you find your problem. And PM us through our Facebook. And we're going to take a problem that we think that, wow, this is a good one. This would be cool to do. And then maybe we could do, maybe it will spin off into an actual episode as well. But this particular one, we would love to have a conversation with somebody. How do you feel about that, Lena? You cool with that? Because
I'm cool with that.
I'm offering you up too. So
I know you are. Who do you think you are?
I am me, and I will always just open my mouth, and then we'll figure it out later. Right. So
yeah, we will we'll get a session scheduled somehow with you.
Yes. And we're not therapists, just so you know, but we will give you God honest advice, and we will make you find what the problem is. And you need to let us know how you make out with whatever the problem is. I don't care if it's a financial issue, I don't care if it's a boyfriend issue, a girlfriend issue, whatever you have, and you want to talk to us about it, PM us in our Facebook, which is
Instagram or Twitter
or Twitter, whatever. Yeah, just say.
What I'll do is we'll put it on the webpage. We'll get all of the links to the webpage.
Yeah.
What our platforms are.
Well, we have them on the webpage. You
can find us.
So you can go to lanaanddave.com and you can find our links to our platforms. So our Facebook page and all that stuff. Who do you think you're talking to?
Well, you've been working on it, and I know that it was recently completed, so that's why.
Right. Yeah.
That's been Dave's side project there.
Yeah, and let me tell you how much
set up the right way.
I hated So I was going to build a whole like website because, I'm in tech. So I figured I'm going to do this, right? There was way too much drama being involved. And I was like, I hate this. I don't build websites anymore. So I utilized the company, that offers us the website, and we can add certain things to it. Not everything that we would want, but until the podcast is making enough money and we get enough coffees, then I will let somebody else build it, because it's not worth the headache for me, and there's enough information on there for you guys. But yeah, if you go to lanaanddave.com, you will find a link to everything there. So
okay, well then there you go. So at some point in whatever platform it is that you want, I mean, we'll be looking for the inboxes for most of those.
Yes.
We get them right away. And yeah, just hey, listen, I want to help you guys, or I want you guys to help me. I want you to sit down with me, and we'll schedule something. And
yep,
we
will do it.
I think it'll only be one person that we pick from.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
But,
we'll pick one person that has a problem, and they're so done, and tell us your story in your PM. So we can kind of judge which one we want to choose. And if we don't choose you today, it doesn't mean we won't be doing this later in the future too. So, we'll see how it goes. And
we will eventually respond to everybody.
And it's okay if you
we don't have millions
complain.
of followers right now, so I think we can keep up.
Yeah, I think we're okay right now. So, if you generally complain, just know that I'm gonna tear your ass up for that, because I'm not gonna let you say yeah but. I can't stand the word but. I can't stand it.
Right. This isn't a challenge to like get us to back down.
We will not. We're not.
Pull it apart.
Yes.
And we're going to put an equation together.
That's right.
And we're going to tell you, what your next step should be.
Right. Or how we would deal with it anyway.
How we would deal with it. We're not.
And I can tell you
experts.
that we're both pretty happy, right? We may not be. We both are single, which is fine by both of us. And there are a lot of people out there that are happy and single. I'm not lonely. Lane is not lonely. None of us, we're not feeling this sadness and this grief and this whole thing.
We're also pretty happy career-wise.
Both happy
We're
career-wise.
Happy with our location.
Yeah.
We have a good circle of friends we like.
Absolutely. I would consider my life to be pretty successful, and as well as yours, Lena. So if you don't consider your life successful, and what I mean by that is like truthfully happy, like I still feel joy. Like I do. Sometimes I'll walk into my RV and I'll get this overwhelming feel of joy, and I love that. That means I'm in a good space in my life. In order to get there, you have to stop complaining about the things that get you down and fix them. So that's what we're offering. We're offering a conversation with us, and it will be published, just so you know. So if you have something that's very like, well, I'm going to say this, but I don't want it. Whatever you say, because again, we do our stuff live. We're not going to edit anything out. So just remember what you say. You don't have to use names or anything. Yeah,
we don't
like
have to. We can keep names out of it, and we can try to keep it as generic as possible.
Yeah, you just let us know. We'll have a conversation. If you don't want your name used, that's fine. If you do, and you want to tell us stories that are not, because we'd rather you didn't come in here and like blow somebody up either. Because that's not fair to the other person unless they're there too. And that's something we may accept as well, is if you have a husband and wife.
Well, whatever's a good learning experience, because it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Information for us. It'll be good.
Of course.
What's the word we're looking for? Notes or good information for our podcast, but also it'll help you. So it's a win-win.
Right. Absolutely. And so anyway, I think we're getting close to that time, which was perfect today. I must say, we both paid attention to the time today, which, if you notice on our last podcast, we did not. And we were like,
some of our last ones ran a little long, but we did warn people that we could pontificate and spin off into some conversation, and it's what we do.
Can. And we did it a little bit today, but that's okay. We like to call that look. Like I said before, our conversations are live. They're recorded live. They're raw. There's no editing involved, and that's it. So today we talked about fix it or complain, and my thing is going to be just fix the damn thing. Stop complaining about it. If you're gonna, don't sit there and dwell on it, because it'll never be resolved, and stress can kill you, and it's just a horrible thing to dwell on crap. It doesn't make sense to me.
And my thing is, if this is something that you do and you really in the future want to fix, then maybe redirect your energy from complaining, which doesn't help and just really stresses you out and nothing else gets done, to let's look at this thing and let's turn it around in our minds and find a good beginning for a solution. Even if you don't find a solution, you can at least break it down and try to find out where things went wrong, and maybe try to help yourself towards getting a solution. I mean, you might as well take your energy and do something good with it, right? And then at the end of the day, 100%. If it is something you cannot fix, then the next thing you need to do is fix your reaction to things that you can't control. That's the only other side of the equation for you.
Learn to accept things if they're out of your control. And one of the things I tell people in a relationship, if the other person is not all in like you are, there's nothing you can do about that. That's them. You cannot change other people. You have to accept them for who they are and either deal with it or move on from it. That's your choice.
The only thing that you can do is on your side of a relationship, and that's any kind of relationship, is you can give it 100% on your side for your sake. That's the only thing you can do.
Correct.
Is be the best person that you can be yourself, but of course be the best person you can be and be as available and as progressive in that relationship as you can be for you. And the other person can they're only responsible for the way they deal with it. And you can't change that. You can't fix it.
You can't fix other people. You can't fix people. No, you can't. Right? You can give them solutions. What they choose to do with that solution is completely up to them. Look, if you say, "Hey, I keep getting involved with guys that beat me," well, you are making that choice. Somehow you're getting involved with people that are not good people. And I like the bad boy. Well, that's what can I tell you?
Hey, listen, ladies, I always say this. The only thing I like bad about a boy is the way he looks. That's it. Those are the ones I've always dated. Most of my boyfriends look like bad boys, and most of them were marshmallows. Right. So my thing was just, just be a bad boy. Give me the bad boy look. And that's where it ends for me. So.
Right. So, and that's it. And so, hey, thank you guys for listening. And if you enjoy our podcast, remember, you can buy us a coffee by going to www.buymeacoffee.com/Lana and Dave.
I can't wait to get that coffee. I can taste it already.
I know. Me too. I need coffee. I think I'm going to go get a coffee now.
I have a coffee already.
I'm going to go.
I might get another one to go with this one.
Oh, you know where I had a really good coffee, and they don't sell coffee, but they love me so much? At Nick's place in Salisbury. I went there the other day, and I go, "What is that?" And she goes, "Oh, we make coffee." And it was so good. Nice. I'm gonna go there and be like, "Can I have one of your coffees?"
I think you should do that.
I'm gonna see if they'll make me a coffee.
You're you.
Well, you guys have a. I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm Dave from Lana and Dave. Are you kidding me?
You are Dave. You are Dave.
I am. I'll always be Dave. You guys have a spectacular day, and thanks for listening.
Yes, definitely. We'll be talking to you soon. Hey, you just listened to Love and Life with Lana and Dave. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share the podcast, leave us a comment or review, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new content. We'll see you soon.